Hello and welcome to Gapeys garden. This is probably the last nice day we're going to get this year. It got up to 83 degrees and tomorrow we're supposed to get an inch of rain and rain for the next few days after that. And I'm not seeing any good temperatures in the forecast. Let's take the chickens out here before we do the tour. We usually let them out to free range for a few hours every evening. They love their playtime. And let's go ahead and look at this bed real quick. So this is where the cherry tomatoes were. I've got all of those taken out now except for one. I didn't see any signs of blight on this one yet. This is the Bendigo cherry drop. So that one's still in the ground, but it is probably going to be coming out here pretty soon. We've got our sunflowers here that are pretty much done blooming, and we've got some volunteer potatoes in this bed as well. We'll take a quick look at the fig trees. These are all the figs in containers. I've got 30 or 40 fig trees in containers here. I've got some bags around some of the figs that are almost ripe. I haven't had any bird pressure yet this season, knock on wood, but we've got quite a few that are starting to ripen up. This one here is almost ready, but because we're getting about an inch of rain tomorrow, I'm going to be moving all of these that are close to ripening, like this one here that's starting to swell. I mean, we've got quite a few I'm going to be moving. I'll probably move some here in the greenhouse, which I've already removed one here. This one is almost ready to pick. I've got a couple, actually. I'll probably pick this one maybe today before it starts getting moldy. This is the black ischia that I started, I think, last season from a cutting. We've got all of our peppers in here. We've got our Fortunia tomatoes. They're still in here. I never get blight on tomatoes in the greenhouse, luckily, but I really got to pick these guys. And then we've got our Shibboleth Lebanese over here. I've got some of those to harvest as well. And I got to get those probably put in the freezer or something. But we've got a lot of peppers to harvest, and I'll be doing a pepper update here pretty soon to show a little more detail of all of our peppers that we've got going on in here. Everything is looking good and in need of harvesting in here. Let's see, what else do we have out here? We had some micro dwarf tomatoes in here. Those got pulled out. Just got some volunteer flowers. More flowers. These are our tangerine tigers. I'll show in a little bit more detail later. I just pruned those back a little bit last night, so they're a little shorter than they were before. I've still got the net around the blueberries, but I should probably take that off because those are pretty much done. We've got a cucumber in here. This is the best looking cucumber in the entire garden, and I didn't actually mean to plant it here. I just stuck it in here because I had an extra cucumber, and it is really taken off, and I've harvested quite a few off of it already. And we've also got some pole beans in here. This is where all the garlic and onions were this season, which all got harvested. We've got a couple melons still in here that are probably about ready to harvest. This one is a Segua Chamo variety, and yeah, I think this was ready. So I'll probably pick that before it starts raining tomorrow. We have some Swiss chard that's doing really good. This is where the rest of our tomatoes were. Those have all been taken out. Got some lettuce that's going to seed. I wanted to save seeds from that, so I let that go. We've got our zinnias all doing really good. We've got another Swiss chard over here, and I really love, this is a neon Swiss chard. I really love this color. It's like a neon orange, but it was a different mix of neon colored chards, but that one is my favorite. We've got our ground cherries. This has just been going crazy. I just cut that back a little bit, but those have been dropping like flies. We've got some bees in there getting some pollen. This is our, let's see, dazzling blue kale here, kind of a lacinato dinosaur type. And our zucchinis are just about done. They started getting some powdery mildew, but we still have a few coming on here. I don't think there's any, actually I do see one on this green machine variety that is getting a little too big. I need to harvest. There's one there. This one is the perfect size. This is a perfect size, so I should probably harvest those before it rains. Our beans are going really slow. I had 3 varieties around these 3 poles, and those ones are pretty much done already, but they never got very big either. But these ones look like they're about ready to harvest. They're starting to dry up. But the 3 varieties I have on this other TP, they're still a ways away from being ready to harvest, so I don't know if those are gonna dry before the weather starts getting too cold and wet. But we've got a lot of beans in there that I'm hoping the weather will hold out a little bit longer. And this is actually a volunteer tomato. I'll be doing a separate video on all the volunteers in the garden here pretty soon. But this one I think might be Matt's Crazy Cherry, but it did really well. And there's no sign of blight on this tomato at all. It's looking really, really good. But it's probably going to get infected here sooner or later, so I should probably harvest all these tomatoes before the rains tomorrow. We got another Swiss chard over here, and we've got a fig tree coming out here that I just kind of plopped in the ground that I cut off of one of my other figs when I was doing some root pruning, and I didn't really expect it to take off, but it seems to be doing pretty good, so I'm not sure how long I'm going to leave it in here. Maybe I'll see if it overwinters or not, but that one is, let's see, I think that was Nero 600M. So we'll see how that does. The cucumbers I had in this bed, they just did really terrible. This one isn't too bad, but it really doesn't look very great. I think that only got 1 or 2 cucumbers on it. We've got our eggplants. They did pretty well. I had 3 different varieties. They were supposed to be 3 different colors, but this one that was supposed to be white, this one in the middle, it was charming white, ended up being a purple, kind of a fat purple variety. I think we harvested all those, so I don't think there's any on there right now. We do have some babies here on this one, but they produce pretty well. I usually plant those inside the greenhouse, but I decided not to this year because they always get spider mites in there, so I got them outside the greenhouse this time. Here's another cucumber that's not doing very well. Let's take a look at the herb bed real quick. We've got some sage here. This is a really old sage that's been in here for years. And then this is the white sage that I started from seed this spring, I think probably in February or March, and it is doing really well. I actually did cut it back a little bit. You can see there, I cut that off and I cut that off, and it's starting to put out some more sprouts. We've got our thyme that overwintered. This is a rosemary that I got in the mail as a little baby, and it's doing pretty good. And this side of the herb bed is in pretty much full shade this time of year, and will be in full shade until next, probably late spring. But we've got some golden oregano here that's usually really bright yellow, but since it's in the shade, it's not. And then we've got this herb that I always forget it's rue. I always forget the name of it, but I just remembered that's rue. And of course we've got bindweed coming up in here as usual. We've got our grow Oya in here to help keep this bed watered because it does dry out faster than the other beds for some reason. Maybe because I don't water it as often. And then we've got a catmint in here that it was a volunteer in another bed that I just decided to put in here. This doesn't spread like other mints do, so I decided it might be okay to put in here. And we've got all our volunteer borage back behind the herb bed. There's our apple tree. This is a crab apple tree called Whitney. It gets larger crab apples than most varieties, but this is really probably ready to harvest. You can see we've got plenty of apples there on the ground. I need to start feeding the chickens. And this is a Braeburn apple. We only got a few apples in here, and it's got some really bad cankers on it, so we probably are going to take this tree out this winter because we've got plenty of apples that are doing much better and are more productive than that at our other house. And then here is our butternut squashes. Let's come around here. These are some giants. Look at the size of those. They aren't quite ready yet, but hopefully the season will last long enough for us to get a harvest off of those. But I've got 2 different varieties in here, and they're doing pretty well if the season holds out a bit longer. And here's our Olympian fig. I'll probably do a fig update here before too long, but I don't think any of these are going to ripen. I don't know, they're getting there, but I don't know if the season is going to be long enough for any of those to actually ripen. And then we've got our bees. We've got 2 beehives left in the front or in the backyard here, and we've got 3 in the front yard. And we've got our other fig tree back there. That's probably not going to ripen either. It's just a really bad winter, and we had a lot of dieback, so I don't think we're going to get any figs off those this season. Well, I think that was kind of a quick tour of where we're at right now in the garden, and things are going pretty well, but they're winding down. Hope you enjoyed this quick little update. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.